40, that's quite a lot. It's a pleasure to see you all in this very interesting format we've become quite used to. And I must tell you, as I speak here, I really feel I'm speaking individually to lots of individuals. It's really not like standing in public. And I would have normally said, I would have meant to say that what a shame it is that we're all here, and there's one very important person who is missing. As it happens, we're all missing. And it's a time of remembering the Hilula of Rebbi Meir Ba'al Hanes, and to marry also the very wonderful person who cared for the synagogue, for the minyan, and for the building of the synagogue itself, and brought it to this beautiful. It was probably more beautiful now than ever it was in the history of Gibraltar community. And it's sad. The question everybody asks is, if tonight is a Hilula, it's the day of the passing away. It's like a Nachala of Meir Ba'al Hanes. And Nachala is a sad occasion, a time when people make a ta'anit and they say Kaddish. It's not a time for rejoicing, it's a time for mourning. So how come that we're rejoicing on the day, making a Hilula on the day of the passing of a great Chacham, Rebbi Meir Ba'al Hanes? And the answer is one which we quote on many occasions, and that is, when a person leaves this world, of course we miss them, it's a sad time, we'd love them to carry on being in this world with us. And the greatest tragedy when a person passes away is what a shame they went and their life's ambition wasn't fulfilled. When somebody lives a proper life, a full life of Torah and Mitzvot and Ma'asim Tovim, then the day they pass away is a celebration, it's a completion of something very beautiful, something very wonderful, which is why when Rebbi Meir passed away, this is not something to cry about, something to be happy about. We're celebrating the life, a life well spent. And not only life well spent, the Torah I was learning, Rebbi Meir Ba'al Hanes was in fact a link in the chain of the tradition of the Torah. And the Mishnah that we have is the Mishnah of Rabbi Akiva, Alav Shalom, who was a great Chacham of generation. And Rebbi Meir is the one that transmitted the Torah to the next generation. His Mishnah, Stam Mishnah is Rebbi Meir. The Mishnah that we have of the Mishnah of Rebbi Meir. So he was really a link in the chain from Har Sinai until the present day. And that makes him, it's not just a question of being good or very good, it's something being a link in the chain, means he was a perfect transmitter of this tradition. And so we're really celebrating his very beautiful life. And we must also celebrate the life of Sami Benam Alav Shalom Zechron Livracha, who was an incredibly kind person, and especially in the synagogue, he is missing. His absence is felt by all of us, and in our private lives and public lives. And Hashem is Zechro Yeh Baruch. And we should always remember the happy things, the wonderful things he did, Mitzvah Ma'asim Tovim, which was a chut for him, for all of us, the family, Hashem, Sifu, Dava, Od. So I'd just like to show the short idea. Is one of the organizers, please tell me when I have to stop. Is it 9:15 or 10:15? Sorry? Oh, yes, no Moshe.
9:15, 9:15 is Shakia, 9:15.
Oh, goodness. All right, thank you. Look, I want to quote you. Rebbi Meir says something interesting. He said in the Mishnah, in Pirkei Avot, Perek Gimel, which we said last week, Perek Gimel, we said like this, that Rebbi Meir says as follows. He says, somebody who forgets some of his Torah learning, the Torah considers it as though he has forfeited his life. That sounds horrible. By forgetting some of your Torah learning, it's as though you forfeit your life. And the pasuk comes in Dvarim Vayet Hanan, which we've been telling beautiful passages. I mean, just reading through the Torah is learning Musar. And he says, just be careful. Ushmor nafshecha, look after your life. Shmor nafshecha could mean to look after your life. Nishmartem ma'od nafshecha, the nefesh is your life. Shmor nafshecha ma'od, be very, very careful about your safety, about your life. How? Lest you forget lest you forget the things that your eyes saw. So about Har Sinai, I can tell you the time we stood at Har Sinai there, the Torah. They leave from your heart, they turn from your heart all the days of your life. So we have to constantly remember what we saw, this experience. We must tell, by the way, you must make these things known to your children and your grandchildren. Interesting, the Torah gives you here, this is a famous pasuk, Rambam quotes it in his Yad HaChazakah, not only to have a mitzvah to your children, but also to pass on the message to our grandchildren. And bearing that in mind, Hachamim have made in our generation how many years have gone by between, how many generations rather have passed between Matan Torah and us today. It's remarkably few, because if you think of it, those of us who knew our grandparents when we were very little, or even great-grandparents when we were very little, they passed on tradition to us. There could be 70 years maybe gap. So the tradition has skipped every 70 years. If you work how many 70 years there are, over 700 years, there's not so many. And over 2100 years also, it's very, very close to the tradition. That's what this pasuk. What it does say over here is you have to be very careful. Shmor, if you guard your life, lest you forget the things that your eyes saw. Implying if you do forget them, then your life is in danger. Look after, protect your life, and remember things. Because if you don't remember, then chas v'shalom, your life is in danger. It says that anybody forgets Torah, the Torah considered as though he forfeited his life. That's what your life is at stake here. And well, what happens? Poor things. Some people are forgetful and they forget against their will. Some people suggest because you haven't revised enough, you have to do Hazarah. I might have thought when Yeshiv, you just sit back, not doing anything. No, actually, Yeshiv Yasiram. It's only count. The problem here only starts when you sit down and you remove the things from your heart. Yeah, lest they remove from your heart. So if a person in his old age forgets, people get forgetful, they mention someone, you forget it, you're not going to be, that's not a problem. The problem is if you sit down and you purposely remove these words from your heart, says the Batanura, a very famous quotation this, that if you sit down without revising, then you're going to forget what you learned. You can't hope to learn everything by learning it once. You have a concept of Shinantam, so with Shinui, Mishneh Torah, you have to repeat again and again and again. If a person does not revise, then he's bound to forget it. And that is what we have, that's the way we remember everything. I would like to share with you a little idea here. That the Torah, the Torah is our life. Every time we say Arvit, and we will contemplate the Torah day and night. So it is our life. So of course, if the Torah is our life, then if you forget the Torah, you're forgetting your life. Right? Torah is our life, means it's our life, we're living it. The moment you stop learning Torah or you forget the Torah, you've forgotten that part of your life. It's as though, my Torah is telling you, Shemor Nashel, keep your nefesh, because the Torah is your nefesh. Because if you forget the things that you saw, then that is called, you are forfeiting your life, literally forfeiting part of your life. Life means lots of things. And when Kadosh Baruch Hu blew into the nostrils of Adam HaRishon, it became a nefesh chaya, a living creature. But excuse me, the animals are called nefesh chaya. Also, and when Hashem blew his neshama into us, also all it became was an animal, other than animals. So there are different levels of life, as we know. You can exist, you can live. Plant in English, a plant lives. It doesn't live in Hebrew, it doesn't plant. It is tomeach. The Ba'al Haim, animals live. You can't compare their level of life with the life of a civilized human being. Civilized human being cannot compare that life to a life of a person having Torah mitzvot. Our life is totally different. The Torah is our life. Some people's life is fishing. Some people's life is having fun. Some people's life, they don't know what they're doing. And our life is and the length of our days can the length, the value of each day can measure how much Torah I could invest in it. But I'd like to show a little idea. I think I said it in one of the drashot as well. I came across this year for the first time. Well, it reminded me anyway. When we come to Pesach, I have a library of books about the Haggadah. And one of them, I never have time to read. It's the busiest time in the year. And one of them I got recently was the Haggadah of Rabbi Dessler. Rabbi Dessler was a wonderful man. He did not write books, but he left lots of notes of his shiurim and his ideas, and they've been put together in books, Michtam Eliyahu and so on. So recently they put out a book, a Haggadah, and they collect from all his writings, previously unpublished and published writings, as a commentary to the Haggadah. I only managed to open the book once this year, and I saw one very short section. I think it's talking about the Makkah of Hoshech. The Makkah of Hoshech, the darkness. He says that darkness is a creation. It says we're going to say Yotzer Or V'Oreh Hoshech. In the morning we say Kadosh Baruch Hu was Yotzer. He formed light and created light, V'Oreh Hoshech, and he also made darkness. So Rabbi Dessler, darkness is a creation, and not a creation, it's a creation on a higher level than the creation of light. Because according to the Kabbalistic system, which we don't study, but Rabbi Dessler quotes it, that the Olam HaAsiyah is what we're living in, the physical world we can see around us, it's at a higher level. So Yotzer Or, that Yetzirah creation of light is higher than the world we're living in, and Borei Hoshech Bari'ah is even higher than that. That is the place where the Neshama of Jewish people are created. So it's a very, very high level of creation. So Malachim come from the world of Yetzirah. The Jewish Neshama and darkness come from an even higher level. It's a more powerful spiritual source than light. And this is something that we're not accustomed to get us get used to thinking in these terms. The Chachamim tell us, Ma'ad Ma'or, a little bit of light can dispel a lot of darkness. A massive hall, light a candle one end, actually can help you to get right to the end of it, see where the door is, where the windows are. You can see where throughout one little candle, a little bit of light can dispel a lot of darkness. So that is a different type of darkness, which is an absence of light. The moment you put the light there, then you dispel the darkness, you can see where you're going. It's wonderful. What was lacking was the light. Once the light is there is no more darkness. That is a different type of darkness. The darkness of Mitzrayim, Rabbi Dessler is telling us, the person who put the book together, obviously he understood that. The Mitzrayim was not an absence of light, because it was in midday. The Jewish people, there was light wherever we went. It was midday, it was a bright daylight, and while the bright daylight was there that should dispel the darkness, it did dispel the darkness. This was another type of darkness, a Bari'ah created darkness, which surrounded the Egyptians. They were living in thick darkness. Darkness you could feel with your hands, almost, as if it were. So this is the two types of darkness in the world. One of them is a lack of knowledge. We're simply dark because we are not enlightened. The enlightenment comes now, we can see it all, we understand it. I didn't know. So God, thank you for telling me, wonderful. There's another type of darkness which somebody knows but he creates a barrier around himself that blocks out the light. And this is what the Borei Hoshech is. God created light that dispels darkness, but then there's also a darkness that can dispel light. And that is extremely difficult to get rid of. And we all know people here who don't know, and you enlighten them. You tell them, by the way, there's a mitzvah, you mustn't wear shatnez. Oh, I don't know. You mustn't shave your side locks above the. Oh, I didn't know. Thanks for telling me. I'm very happy to know about it. A lot of things, if you enlighten the person, I know there are people, and all of us maybe have one or two things, a little thing somewhere that even though we know about them, we don't want to keep them. That is we have created a darkness, or somehow this darkness created within us, blocking us, not allowing us to see the light. So there is a level here which I want to sort of put into this, in the short minutes left to us, into this pasuk. What the Chachamim tell us? The problem here is not forgetting something because you forgot it. I mean, people forget things because they're forgetful, they try very hard. There's so much Torah to learn. And if you're always revising what you learned already, when you're going to finish the Torah, so you're going to have to work really, really hard to be able to revise and remember everything. It's humanly impossible for simple, for the average human being. But what the Mishnah says is, you shouldn't sit literally. You shouldn't sit and remove them from your heart. How on earth can you sit and remove your memory from your heart? It doesn't make sense. I mean, when little kids who play this game, I can prove you're obsessed with elephants, right? I'm going to ask you now for the next minute or 50 seconds, half a minute, not to think of elephants. It's impossible. Once you've been told not to think of an elephant, you're going to have to think of an elephant within that half minute. You cannot possibly sit down and forget the Torah, to unlearn. You cannot sit down and then, but the things a person can do can sit down and bring darkness into our hearts, will cause us to forget the Torah. Whether we remember the words or not is not really the point, because a person can remember the words in his mind, remember the Torah, and the pasuk says, from your heart. And there are two different levels of understanding. The one of them is intellectual level, what we have in our brains, what our minds tell us, and the other ones, Moshe Rabbeinu tells us, should know today, to put it into your heart. So I don't have to know the intellectual knowledge. The professors of Talmudics out there, Shemish Marenu, they don't keep anything. The professors of Talmudics, they know a lot. That's not it. No, it has to be in your heart. There's one of the Gedolei HaMusar made a statement, so I quoted recently. I'm sorry, I can't remember where to find it now. But he said that after Petirah, the brain leaves us, if the intellect leaves us, all we're left with is the lev. Whatever knowledge you have in your heart, that's what you take with you. The knowledge, the things you knew in your brain, those you don't take with you. They're irrelevant. They disappear, they dissipate. Like the body deteriorates also, they evaporate with the body. What remains is the knowledge that we have in our heart. And it's possible for a person to sit down and to remove from his heart these things. You'll remember. You may remember them. You remember Torah. I know what Shabbat is. I know people know what Shabbat is, still don't keep it. That is called they've taken it out of their heart. They don't take it seriously. They don't live according to the dictates of the Torah. Now you can do is sitting down. I'll tell you, sitting down watching TV, which today is not the worst thing a person can do. It's a big praise. I think it's even there's other things you have in your house. Forget the TV. You can sit down watching the TV programs. You're actually forgetting what is in your heart. You're removing from your heart the lessons of the Torah. You're spending your time doing irrelevant things, and I'm sure they're very interesting program on TV as well. Please do not misjudge me, but to understand the context it is given, and I'm sure the good things also on computer and YouTube, lots of things. Even after all the filters, you can do very, very interesting things which you cannot call. But the very fact of filling his mind with other things that are not Torah knowledge, that is equivalent to taking them out of your heart. The heart doesn't have space for too many things. You cannot believe in contradictory things. You have different opinions, understanding opinions, you cannot do things. If we spend our time doing the wrong things, then that is equivalent to removing the Torah from our heart. It actually, to come back to the original pasuk, look after your life, because you are wasting your life. There's only one life, and you're wasting it. And we have two lives, but the second life we're creating now, here and now, we're creating the Olam Haba. It's not a different world. Here and now, when we disappear, we'll find the world we were living in, we're actually, we were creating Olam Haba, the reality, spiritual reality. Oh, I'm being told to stop. This is the message of Rebbi Meir Ba'al Hanes. He was somebody of a great, who was a link in the chain. And to mention just once again, because it is something which we're always aware of, there's a very wonderful neshama of dear Samuel Alav Shalom, who was also a link in the chain of tradition in the synagogue, in the Benaim family. Baruch Hashem, he was zocheh to three wonderful sons. And I think I saw at least one of them here beforehand. Baruch should bless his memory. Should be zocheh to have lots of nachat in Shemaim with children and grandchildren. Should also have nachat for else to build ourselves in Torah and mitzvot. That the words of Torah should always be in our hearts. Ki chayechem orchemecha, kim chayim orchemein. The words of Torah, these are our. It's what life is. Life isn't mentioned by the number of years we live, but the length of each day of how much Torah we can take with us in our hearts when we finally come to conclusion. Our own lives should also have a Meir Ba'al Hanes, should be lives of celebration, should be zocheh to celebrate wonderful lives. And to Hashem, we should be zocheh, Kadosh Baruch Hu should help us, inspire us. And I would now like to, I've been given a message of more than 200 machines logged in. And I can see over here at least 2 or 3 people each machine, talking about maybe 500, at least 500 people. The wonderful zechut it is. And imagine squeezing them all into Sogat Shika. Last year we had 600 in the synagogue, I think. Anyway, it should be a long life to all these people. Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu should allow us to go to Yerushalayim, and we should be tzufufim. We should all cram there in the Beit HaMikdash, and we should be mishtachavim b'rechava with lots of spare space. And to Hashem, we should be zocher for this to come in our own. To come and show him here. Amen.
Thank you very much, Rebbi.
To Moshe Benaim.
Thank you very much, Rebbi. Just to let the Kahal know all the proceedings tonight. I'm going to begin by saying Ashkava for our dear Shemuel Benaim. We will continue. Then my father, Parnas of the Bet HaKnesset, will say a couple of words, and then we will say the Shir Shel Yom, Lamnatzeach, and then we're going to say Ekach Reshut, but a short version where Yossi Benedi, who we have to thank, who has organized all this, he will unmute the whole Kahal to sing Rebbi Meir Ba'al Hanes with me. Then we will just say, we will say this Beraita, which is said in substitution of saying the Kaddish, and we will then continue to say Mariva Ravim and Shema, and we will sing Rauvanim, Hashkivenu, Yiruanenu, we will say Amidah, and then after that we will do the Hilula, whereby I encourage everybody to light a candle in their own house. And again, for Hallelujah and for Ekach Reshut, Yossi Benedi, we will unmute the Kahal so that we can hear the whole Kahal sing the chorus. Okay? So I'm going to start with Ashkava now. Marav tuvecha asher tzavanta lirecha, al tarach osim bach neged bnei adam, ma yakar chazdecha Elohim ubnei adam, b'tzek kenafecha yechesayun, irveyun mideshen bedecha v'nachal adanecha tashkem, טוב שם משמן טוב, ויום המוות מיום היוולדו, סוף דבר הכל נשמע את האלוהים ירא ואת מצוותיו שמור כי זה כל האדם, יעלזו חסידים לכבוד, יראנו משכבותם, מנוחה נכונה בישיבה עליונה, תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלת קדושים ותונים כזוהר הרקיע, מאירים ומזהירים, בחילות וסבים, לחברת השמים, לחברת באש והקדשה, לחמלה וחיינה מזבני סושכם עונה, לחוקת אבל לחיי עולם הבא, שם תאמינת וכסף של טוב. היה שיש ונכבד, שהיה ראש וקצין שחרר גמילות חסדים, נעים זה מאוד כרבי שמואל ביניים בשלום, שנפטר לבית עולמו, רוח אדוני תניחנו בגן עדן, תתבדר מן המהדן, כרות הרמם על השמיה, מלך מלכי מלכי עליו, יחוסר לך עליו, מלך מלכי מלכי תזרע וסדר כלו, לחזו בנונה וברכת בחלו, ולקץ ימין ימידהו, מנחל אדוניו ישקהו, ויצרור יצרור החיים נשעתו, ישים כבוד ויכולתו, אדוני הוא נחלתו, וילווה אליו השלום, ישקהו לשלום, יתכתיב השלום ילכו לשבועתו לכו, ובכל בני ישראל שולחים בו, יכלל החסד יכות הכן רצון, ונאמר אמן. ועל כל הקהל הכושר הזה תבוא להם ברכתו, לרוחים הם להשם. So Yossi, if you can put the spotlights on my father. Dad, you're on.
Baruchim to you, Rabbi, President Karl Kadosh. I would like to say a few brief words regarding our friend and brother, Sami alav shalom. I do this because in a few months will be the year of Sami, and as many people are watching, we have to give, by talking about all the achievements of his life, talk about this outstanding and exceptional person. Very modest, very humble, but achieved very much in his life. For 53 years, Sami alav shalom was the life and soul of KK Ets Haim. Esther, my wife, Chaim, told Annie, Sami loves the synagogue more than you. And she said, 100% you're right. 53 years is a lifetime. Sami was no ordinary chazan. He lived through his tefillot. If he was saying the Shirah, he lived the Shirah. If it was Tisha B'Av, he cried as if he was witnessing the destruction of Beit HaMikdash. If it was Seder Avodah, he lived it. He lived through it. Sami, we miss you from the first day, every day. every day. Behevra Kadisha, Sami worked up through the ranks. He was a Chivri, then he became Sheikh de Campo. You would see him, somebody passes away 3 o'clock in the morning. He was there at 6 o'clock in the morning, arranging where a person would be buried. You know, there was no such thing. Even when he was Sheikh, out of kavod to him, I would tell him, Sami, we put the watch for such a person. Don't worry, everything is under control, the watch is there. 10 minutes, he would be there. 5 o'clock in the morning, he would be there. And he was Sheikh, and he would do his watch like everybody else. His life was, as you say in Spanish, one of entrega. In the board, he served for many years. I had the honor of having him serve in my board. He was in charge of kasherut. Never once did I have to intervene in kasherut. Sami was a diplomat. He knew how to talk to everybody in the kasherut world in this community. Never was there a problem with him. He solved every problem. Chesed, a man who would do chesed always. I can't, many of the things he did, I know about, but he wouldn't like us to repeat them. Just, for example, the shofar. I remember one very, very hot Rosh Hashanah, extremely hot. He took the shofar. I said, where are you going? Well, you know, he didn't want, you know, he tried to avoid replying to these things. And I pressed him, he told me a whole list of people. He will go up 5 floors, 6 floors, up the rock, down. No problem. Sami, hace mucha calor. Ese no es tu problema. Rebbi Meir Ba'al Hanes, he loved it. I know many people say, Nogashik is too small. He used to say the Devar Torah every year and say, when people would go for Shalosh Regalim, many hundreds of thousands of people went to Yerushalayim. Perek says, nobody had difficulty in finding a place. Sami told everybody, you come here and we'll find a place for you. He loved his Hilula. He loved it. And he lived it. Finally, the best evidence that we are talking about such a special person is because he was supported by an incredible wife. Annie is extremely special. Annie was his support. They went through very difficult 6 months about which none of us knew. But before that, as the rabbi correctly says, he lived a very full life, a very happy life. He was an exceptional father. Annie, a mother like few others. Then the evidence of their offspring, Shalom, Marcel, Yossi, their wives and family. They adored their father. They learned a lot of Torah, but they have also learned the midot of Sami, which none of us should ever forget. Thank you.
Thank you, Dad. Very moving words. Okay, so we go to start Shisham. Adonai Malach Keud Lavesh Lavesh Adonai Ozi Dazar Abdigot Deber Badimod Nachol Kisacham Meaz Beolam Ata Naseu Rot Adonai Naseu Nearot Olam Nearot Ocham Mikolo Od Ma'im Rabbi Madim Yisrael Dir Bamarom Adonai Ezotecha Nemnu Meod Levedecha Navakodesh Adonai לאורך ימים למנצח מנגינות מזמור שיר. אלוהים יחוננו ויברכנו, אל פניו איתנו סלע לדעת בארץ דרכך בכל גויים ישועתך יודוך עמים אלוהים יודוך עמים כולם ישמחו וירננו לאומים כי תשפוט עמים ממישור ולאומים בארץ לכם סלע יודוך עמים אלוהים יודוך עמים כולם ארץ אדנה hilula יברכנו אלוהים אלוהינו יברכנו אלוהים ויראה אותו כל עשי הארץ. אקח רשות ואסנס לשורר לכבוד הדר הוא רבי מאיר בעל הנס איש האלוהים קדוש הוא
רבי מאיר בעל הנס
מצוינים ומחותרים בהלכה מתעטרים תורה יבקשו מפיהו
רבי מאיר בעל הנס רבי מאיר בעל הנס רבי מאיר בעל
עיניו מתחכמים מנהיר עיניך חכמים ונורא מאוד מראהו זיכרוני בנוסף ותזכרני אל הדמאיר עננו זהו אלי וענווהו ועתה הגדלנה כוח אדוני כאשר דיברת לאמור והתקדשתי ונודעתי לעיני גויים רבים ויראו וידעו כי אני אדוני ברכי נשת אדוני אלוהי גדלת מאוד דבר ועשתה ושמתי אלוהם מברך מן הרמה והאדמה יחומת אדוני אלוהי מרי בישוע בן לוי כל עונה מיני אשר רבה ברך לעולם וממיה בכל כוחו קוראים לו גזר דינו שנאמר בפרעה פירות ישראל בהתנדב עם ברכו אדוני מתם בפרעה פירות פרשום וברכו את אדוני אמר רבי שמעון בן לקיש כל העונה אמן בכל כוחו פותחים לו שערי גן עדן שנאמר פתחו שערים יבואו צדיק שומר אמונים אל תקרא שומר אמונים אלא שומרים אמנים והוא רחום וחבר עוון אלא השכיל ובשבור וקודו אדוני שיהיה מלך יעננו ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בתוארו מעריב עלינו חוכמה עוד עכשיו אני מתבונן אשר הייתי מחלי את הזמנים וסתר כוחים בשעותם וכסלו בריאים ולילה כל העולם מלך חושך חוש ונאורה מביא יום ולילה עודים יום ולילה אדוני סבות שמו ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים אהבת עולם את ישראל מכבדה תורה מצוות חוקים ושתת תורת אדוני אלוהים שופר ונעשה חוגיך ונשמח ונעלוז בדברי תלמוד תורתך וצודך וחודך ולמד כי הם חיינו ורחמנו ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה בעבדך לא תסור ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב את עמו ישראל שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננת לבניך ודיברת בם שיתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ושוכבך וקומך וקשרתם לא תולדיך והיו תטפות עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך וישריך והיה אם שמוע תשמעו על צדי אשר אנוכי מצווה אתכם היום לאהבה את אדוני אלוהיכם ולעובדו בכל לבבכם ובכל נפשכם, ונעלתם את ארצכם והייתם מקוש, ועשת על גניך ואת ירושך וזרעך ונתתי, ועשת בשדך ונתך ואכלת ושבעת, ישמרו לכם. ושמתם את דבר האלה על לבבכם ונפשכם ושאתם אותם לעוד ידכם, והיו לטפות ביניכם ולמדתם אותם, את בניכם ואת פעם משתך בביתך ובתך בדרך ושוכבך וגמך ובטבתם אמרזו ביתך ושלך למען יבואי מכם ומלכם על הדמשבע אדוני לאבותיכם את להם ימי השמיים על הארץ ויאמר לנו שלמה דבר בני ישראל ונתן להם ועשו להם ציצית על כ"ט פיתיהם נטלותם ונתנו על ציצית הכנף תזדחת ויהיה לכם לציצית והייתם אותו וזכרתם את כמיתות אדוני ועשיתם אותם ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם ואל תזכרו ועשיתם את כל צדדי והייתם קדושים לכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ ישראל להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. באמונה כזאת גם לנו כי הוא אדוני אלוהינו וזאת אמרנו אסתמו קודנים לכם הכולנו כנסים ונפלם יצרנו המשלם כמו רכושנו עשינו נשנו בחיים ולא דרמת גנו ודוכנו ונגננו כוסלנו היה לסנו לכם פרבותו ודברה כמה כברתו בפרי ישראל ויצאתם בישראל מתחם לחירות עליהם ויבנה וגזסו ותודהם את צונהם את מאוד דיבם ראו בנים את קבורתו שיבחו והודו לשמו ומלכותו ורצו עלו עליהם מסעו שמחה רבה ועמדו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש רתי לו ספלה מלכותך אדוני אלוהינו קיים יחד כולם ובמין יכולנו למלוך לעולם עד נאמר יבען את יעקב גלם לחזק ממנו ברוכתה אדוני גל ישראל השכיבנו אבינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים טובים ושלום ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ותקננו מלכנו ברצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו מהרה למען שמך והגן בנו ועשר מרן מגדי ידי חלופי שרה רביגונו שבשבור וססר בפנים אחרי מסקר וגזזנה שפוצה ונחלת של העולם ועד העולם כי שומרנו מתחילת הרגות דברה מבח הלילה ארוחת אדוני שומרת בישראל עד אמן אדוני עוז גם ייתן אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום יראו עינינו וישמח ליבנו, ותגר נפשנו בישועתך מלכנו, באמת אמור לציון, מלך אלוהיך, אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, כי המלכות שלך היא ולעולמד, תמלוך בכבוד, כי יהיה לנו מלך לעתה. ברוך אתה אדוני המולך בכבודו אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו מהרה לעולם ועד, ועל כל מעשיו. Okay, we're going to say Shila Marlot, Kaveh Alenu Shabeach, and then Rabbi Chassid will say the Omer for the Kahal, and we'll all answer, if that's okay. And then we'll do the Hilula. Shila Marlot, the Sinai, Larim, Aina Wazri, Ezri, Mimadana, Seshamai, Marit, Salitana, Mother, the Khal, Inushmarecha, Inelo, Yenu, Ishan, Israel, and Ishmarecha, and Israel, and Mechem, Shaka, Kaveh, Laila, Adana Ishmacham, Korra, Ishmaret, Shekha, Adana Ishmaret, Kavecha, Meata, Veadola, Makaveno, Nechazak, and En kadosh lo na kimidech vasu koranu kimeloa ibala no no de la no de la que no lo sien baruch Eloheinu baruch Adonai baruch Kenu shenu to shenu ata takum terachem Tzion תהיה לכם גאמת תנא דוד יעקב כל השנה לחות בכל יום מובטח לו שהוא בן העולם הבא שנאמר הליכות רם לא עתיק לליכות אלה לחות אמר רבי אלעזר ולכם תמיד חכם יוביס יהי שלום לחלק שווה ועבדיך וענך ורעי עד דבר שלום ולחמת אדוני לשת עולך ורב אני מנך שלום ישראל שלום רב לא עובד דרך ולם מכשול אדוני עוז למה ייתן אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל לתת גדולה יוצא בראשית לא עשינו בלי לעשות לא שמענו כמשלחות האדמה שלא שם חלקנו בהם וגורלנו ככל המונם שהם משתחים להבל וריק ומתפללים אל לא יושיע ואנחנו משתחווים למלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שעות השמש לארץ ושב יקרא בשמיים ושכנת עזוב יקרא לא אין עוד אחר אמת הכן ובזולתו כתוב בתורה וידעת היום השבות אל אלוהיך כי אדוני בשמיים מעל אחת אין עוד על כן נקווה לך אדוני אלוהינו לראות מהרה ותפארת תודך להעביר גלולים מן הארץ והאלילים קרות תקרתו לתקן עולם ותודה בכל בן עשר יקרו בשמך נפנות אליך כל השארץ גירו בידו כל השבט דבר כי לך תקרא כל ברך תשבע כל לשון וברכנה אלוהינו כל בולו ולכל שקרתנו יקבלו כולם את עול מלכותך ותמלוך עליהם אלא לא למעט כמו שלך יהיו לא מעט תמלוך ועוד גדולות אחרים ימלוך למעט נאמר היה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ והיום הוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד ותורתך אדוני אלוהינו כתוב לאמור שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. Hi Rebbi, we got to put the spotlight on you.
Is it time? Is it night?
6 seconds.
So it's Hashem Yechud. Hashem Yechud Shabrich Zechin de Berchel Orachim Berchazal.
Hashem Yechud Shabrich Hashem Yod Heva Chalem Israel. הנה אנחנו נקיים את השבת וגתיתו סדר ואחרות שבת ונקיים שבע שבתות ולנה אי מאחרת דרוך חמישים וגדריך חשבים אדוני אלוהינו עלינו מעשה ידינו כהנה עלינו מעשה ידינו כהנה יהיו לרצון אם לפי והגיוני בי לפניך אדוני צורי וגואלי
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו אל תפארת העומר היום 29 יום לעומר שהם 4 שבועות ויום אחד הרחמנו יחזיר עבודת בית המקדש למקומה במהרה ימינו אמן.
אמן ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר
שהם 4 שבועות ויום אחד הרחמנו יחזיר
This is the best song.
שהם 4 שבועות
Okay, we start with the Hilula now, and we're going to focus on the candles. Everybody should light the candles at home. Se reciba todo lo bueno. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah de Adonai. Hallelujah, diradirim adirum hulala Adonai. Hallelujah, Baruch Beruchim, Baruch Omola Adonai. Hallelujah, Gadol Gedolim, Gadol Omola Adonai. Alelu podeu matzir, podeu mol al Adonai. Amelu rachum echanun, rachum mol al Adonai. Alelu shalom shalemim, shalem mol al Adonai. Alelu tamim temimim, tamim mol al Adonai. אקח רשות וסנס לשורר לכבוד הדר הוא רבי מאיר בעל הנס איש האלוהים קדוש הוא
רבי מאיר בעל
יחד רבים גם שלמים, מאור פניו מתחכמים, מנהיר פני חכמים, ונורא מאוד מראהו.
רבי מאיר
בעל
השמש בגבורה וקולע אל עשרה, לוחם מלחמתה של תורה, יורה מגן גבורי הוא. ושמועתו לא יוכלו אף מחברתו, גם לעמוד על סוף דעתו, אפס ראו את קצהו. צדיק ונושע השיב בדברי ישע, והתחברך לרשע, פתאום שועה תבואהו.
רבי מאיר בעל הנס, רבי מאיר בעל
זיכרוני בנוסף תזכרני אל מאיר עננו.
מאיר בעל הנס, רבי מאיר בעל הנס, זכותו יררנו.
Por muchos años a todos que se reciba toda la felicidad. Thank you. Escuchen a bots.